I'm sure you're curious of how the cruises were happening and what was happening way back then. In 1899 was the first cruise, cruising the Saguenay. So what we're doing tomorrow is exactly what they've been doing for more than 100 years. And also, the Kingdom of Saguenay is something, it's a legend, it's almost mythical, but we still hear that expression today. So you had heard about the Kingdom of Saguenay, some of the natives that told him stories that he would be finding gold and silver, rubies, short white men with white hair, and they were very intrigued by that. Apparently kind of looked at it and said, yeah, okay, fine, I'm going to Quebec City. He did not go into the Saguenay River. His loss. What he found was, period, fool's gold. Beautiful advertisement. I love the graphics of advertisements. So you have a nice one here from the Richelieu, Ontario Navigation Company. Their logo up until 1949 was Niagara to the sea. Because here tomorrow in Tadoussac, the water is salt water, like in the ocean. And it is salt water till Orleans Island. And it is wide enough that locally people call it the sea. So when they said from Niagara, Lake Ontario, right down to the sea, it meant around the Saguenay area and Tadoussac area. A lot of the ads also reflected the trends and the destinations. So the top one, if you look at it, it shows the Quebec City Citadel on the left-hand side. And the right-hand side is Cape Trinity, which we'll see tomorrow. Beautiful high cliff on the Saguenay River. Can you see the fern on the top right one? Anybody been on the Oasis of the Seas or the Allure of the Seas? I think that's the prequel of Central Park on those ships. Now, to shoot the rapids, you need specific ships. They had the Rapids Prince and the Rapids Queen because you needed a 5-foot draft under the ship. Those are the only ones that could do the rapids, so you had to switch ships along the way. And the best people to know the rapids were natives. They had gone through the rapids for many generations before, so they would hire, actually, native pilots and would dress them up in feathers and parade them on the ship. They would come up a ladder and pilot the ship through the rapids. Some of the few ships that go down a river full of people, and then people get off in Montreal after the rapids, and then the ship goes back through old canals and locks, empty, to come back in Prescott and go down with lots of people again. So they were shooting the rapids with lots of people, then coming back empty. So it took about 8 to 10 hours to shoot the rapids, and about 18 to 20 hours to come back on the way back empty to Prescott again. And the masquerade ball, I remember one of my aunts went on a cruise once, and everybody was it was very important to dress up. And she left with a little small box and some black leotards. Could not figure what was her costume. And she told me after, because I saw some pictures, the little box was, they were balloons. So she blew all the balloons and she was a nice seamstress, she pinned all the balloons on her, so she was the balloon lady on board. And she won a prize for that. This is a game they used to play on the cruises back then. You see the cruise ship is just heading, the tip of the cruise ship is heading on the cliffs. And on some of the ships they would have small piles of pebbles on the decks. And they would say to people, we are so close to the cliff that if you take a pebble and throw it out, you will reach the cliff. We're that close. People never did. People just fell in the water. It seemed that they were that close. The sculpture was done in 1881. Mr. Robitaille, in 1878, was a traveling salesman with his horse and buggy along the Saguenay River, and he fell through the ice. And he prayed to the Virgin Mary that if he could live through that, he would put a statue up for her, if he lived through it. So he did just that, and in 1881, they built a statue by Louis Jobin, quite a well-known artist in Quebec. They tried to hoist the statue in 3 sections, couldn't be done. They hired 10 men, it took them 8 days, and they had it in 14 sections to put it up there. In 2009, it was renovated, painted again white with the gold trim and the aura on top. And they also, the Canadian Mint, made a Canadian coin for it to celebrate its renovation. Interesting place that you can go to is a show that is called La Fabuleuse Histoire du Royaume, the fabulous history of the kingdom. And to know that it's a show, it's a musical show, over 200 actors, they're all volunteer actors from town. They have been doing that for more than 25 years. And you can imagine in 25 years, some of the young actors that were children in one of the first plays are now tall and grown men, and one of them plays the major character, Joe Maquillon.